In this video I will show you the lit shader graph. So you saw before in a previous video the lit shader. So you see this object has a shader. This shader is HDRP lit, okay? And you have a base color. We worked on the metallic, smoothness. So these three parameters are the PBR parameter that you have in all the software now. We worked also with the normal mapping. But here, if we want to create a texture on metal, smoothness, it's a bit complicated because it's a very good shader for optimization, but it needs a little bit more work. So what we can do instead of use this classic HDRP lit, this is to use a lit shader graph. So it will be like is a hypershade in Maya. So for that, first we create a shader. Okay, if you remember in Maya you have the shader and you have the shading group. Okay, so here it's a bit the same. First we create the shader. So we click, right click here. I am in my material folder. Right click, create. There is shader or shader graph. So you go to shader graph, of course, HDRP lit shader graph. Okay, so here we have this shader. I will call it, I always call it SH and all. So we have this shader. You see there is a small arrow here. So it's to say that there is now a material associated to this shader. So I could, why not, assign the material to this object. But if I click on it, this material, you cannot edit it. Okay. So, and you will see later, I want to edit it. Okay. So what I will do, instead of use this material, I will create another one. So for that, I select this shader, I right click, and I create a material. Okay, and here I will call it SH all, why not A. Okay, so now I assign it to my object. And here you can see I can edit this parameter. But actually in this parameter we don't have, you know, the parameters that we had here about the surface input. Okay, where will be these parameters? They will be here in the shader. Okay, so here if I select this material, you see the shader is a shader graph called SH all, and we have a few parameters like opaque, transparency. So now how to edit it? I will just double click on the shader. Here I have a small monitor. Okay, so everything is a bit big in this small monitor. So what I will do, this graph inspector, I will close it. I just click on it, and this thing that we call the blackboard, I will also close it. So here what do we have? It's a classic system to create a shader. This first part on the top will not modify just the appearance, the display of the object, it will also modify the vertex, but we will not use it. So that is something we could use, for example, to do a displacement, but we don't need to use it. So we could actually remove this part, but it's okay, we can keep it. And here we have the parameter. You see classic parameter, base color, normal, bent normal, metallic, emission. I can reorder them. For example, here if I check the previous classic lit shader, the order was base map, metallic, smoothness, bit further normal map. So I can do the same, base map, metallic, smoothness, and normal. Okay, so here of course it's very simple. You can select this color, change it, okay, and your shader now has a new color. But actually if you check my scene, the color of the object didn't change because this shader it's a file and you need to save it first. So if I click on save asset, now you see it's green and now my object is green. Okay, so you could think it's a bit annoying to have to save it first, but you will understand why later it's interesting to have this system. So here, if I go to this object, I can see the shader, but I still cannot control it, unfortunately. So here I cannot change the color or any other parameter. Every time I will have to go back here, change the smoothness. Okay, so here smoothness I will put, for example, something very strong, a bit of metal. Okay, and I see the result. To see it, I need to save again. So what I could do, if you have two monitors, you can put these two things one near the other. Okay, so here if I save, I will see the result here in the scene. But actually there is something that you can do. Here you can replace this object by a capsule, cylinder, cube. Okay, and here you have custom mesh, and here it will show you all the meshes of your scene. Okay, not of your scene, of your project. So for example, I have the van. Okay, so I can right click, select another one, and in our case I will just select the all. So I will write all here, select it. Oh, I made a mistake. Yeah, and then I can check on the all. The only problem is you don't see the same lighting that here. Okay, so it's a little bit different, but it's good enough to work. Okay, so now I will save again. Okay, and we have the result here. Okay, so now if it's just to change this 2 or 3 parameter, no point to work with a shader graph. I should just work with a classic shader. So of course the goal now is to put some texture. So to create a texture, it's very simple. You have a few possibilities. You can right click here and create a node. Okay, and you have to search for texture. There are a lot. Okay, so you need to load the texture 2D, and there is a sample texture 2D. Okay, sample texture 2D. So this is this one. Okay, so I have this node for the texture. Another way, you can drag and drop here and texture, and this is sample 2D texture RGBA. Okay, because you could need an alpha. When you have that, here it's still white, so you have to say you have to load the texture. So here you have this dot here, you click here and you will select any texture of your scene. So for example, I will select this one and I can see the result. Okay, another way is, it's a bit easier with this way. You know where is your texture, you go here, you can drag and drop the texture here. Okay, and another way, so I will delete that, you just drag and drop your texture here. Actually this is the easiest way, and after you connect it. Okay, so again, so every time it takes a bit of time to refresh when you load a new file. So here I will save. Okay, and I can see the result here. Okay, so for the texture it's pretty simple. So it could take a lot of space. So what in this graph, so you can close it. Okay, you can even here reduce it to the minimum. Okay, when you know your node, you know what it does, you can do that. What else? I could also, we have the normal, you remember, so normal mapping. We will use this one. So what I can do, I will make it fast. I will just drag and drop this one here, or not this one, this one. Okay, and here I will connect it to the normal. Okay, so I will zoom a bit to see the result. So this one, same, I will close it. Okay, so every time it takes a bit of time to load, but after you have your real time. Okay, so here we have the normal mapping. Okay, so but the normal mapping, you could think it's a little bit too strong. Okay, so we can change that, but here no, there is by default no parameter. Okay, because to do real time it loads a minimum of parameter, so it's just you. If you need this parameter, you have to create it. Okay, but it's not very difficult. Here what we will do, we will create a new node and we'll search for normal strengths. Okay, so no, I made a mistake. Create node normal strengths, it's here. Okay, so here I have this normal strength. So what I will do, I will put the color in the first parameter, link that here, and that this is my strength. Okay, so here we let him reload the shader. Okay, and now I can adjust the strengths, okay, to have more or less normal mapping. Okay, so another thing that you could need, this is to repeat the UV. Okay, so in Unity we call it the tiling. So I will not repeat the UV on the color, but I could repeat the UVs, why not, on the normal mapping to make these details a bit smaller. So here on all your texture, it's like in Maya, usually you repeat the UVs on the texture node. Here you have this node UV, so what I will do, I will drag and drop that, and I will call tiling. So there is tiling and offset. Okay, so this one I can close it here, and that this is the tiling. So if I put 2 by 2, okay, the details now will be smaller. Okay, so if I put 3, it's smaller. So perhaps on this kind of texture it's not super visible, so I could, why not, change the texture, go to this one. So if I go to 1 1, you see big lines. If I put 3 3, you see small lines. Okay, so perhaps I would put 2 2 and with this normal. Okay, and the strength, it's a bit too strong. I will make it a bit more subtle, so be careful. Often in the rendering, students are putting too much normal mapping. So here I have my object. Of course I can readjust the smooth or the metal. I will put it like that. Okay, so I have my object final. I save, I check the scene, and it works. Okay, so the thing is, here you have your shader that you can modify at any time, but that's right that sometimes it could be better if you can just select here in your scene your shader and modify it. There is a way actually to do that. Okay, so for that we will open the blackboard and we will put value here, and all the values that you will put here will be visible here in the inspector. So let's try, for example, with the smoothness. Okay, so I will click here on plus, and smoothness is a float. Okay, so I will call it smoothness. If I open the graph inspector here, okay, smoothness, but it will not be by default mode. I will use a slider. Slider will be by default at 0.5, like the by default lit, and minimum will be 0, maximum will be 1. Okay, so now if I save, now I have this smoothness here, but actually this smoothness doesn't do anything because I didn't connect it here. So now I will drag and drop that here and connect it to the smoothness. Okay, so I will put it very close like that, and I will do the same thing, for example, for metallic. So here, float metallic. Okay, same metallic, I want a slider between 0 and 1, but by default I will put 0. I take the metallic here, I connect it here. Okay, so let's try. So here I have my shader and I can change the metallic and I can change the smoothness. So now you give access to your user to this parameter. Sometimes in a production you will have the guy in charge of the shader who will do all these things, could be super complicated, and he will give the shader to the artist, but actually the artist, they will not modify the shader, they will just modify the material with just the slides that the creator of the shader created for them. Okay, so if they make a mistake, they will make a mistake on the shade, on the material, but they will not change the shader. Okay, so here I could have also, why not, the normal strength. So normal strength slide also. Perhaps this one, no, it could be by default. It will be not a slide because sometimes we need to go over one. And here I will put by default 1. Okay. And this one I connect it, so I need to move this thing here. I will connect it here. Okay. And what we can do, we can also do the same with the texture. Okay. So for the texture, I will click here and there is 2D texture, and this one, it will be, for example, the normal map. Okay, and I will create another one, color map. Okay, and I can do also yeah, I will do it metallic map, and so the next one is smoothness. So you don't need to do all these things. You can say, no, I'm fine, I can work here directly in the shader. But that is just in case if you want to give this access in your material. Okay, so that it's a choice that you will do, or that your production company will do. So now let's connect this thing. So here, this is a normal map. So normal map, it's this one. So what I will do, I will connect here. Okay, sorry, connect here. So this normal map, if I open here, so far there is no texture. Okay, what else? So here, instead of a base color, okay, what I will do, I will put the color map and I connect it. Oh no, sorry. Here I need to say it's a texture. Okay, I will close it, and that will be the texture. Okay, so I don't do it with everything. It's the same system with metallic, same system with smoothness. Okay, so now if I check this one, there is no texture yet, so I will save it. Okay, so here it's displayed a bit weird because there is no texture. Okay, so especially it could be problematic with a normal map. So if I put 0, you don't have the problem. But to have normal strength at 1 without normal texture, yeah, it's a bit weird. So now we have this material using this shader, and you can personalize the material with your texture. So I will go here, I select that, and I will say, yes, this smoothness actually is fine. I have something like a bit like a ceramic or porcelain with a bit of metal, perhaps. And then I will put this normal texture. Okay, with 1. Okay, so 1 is too strong. I want it a bit more subtle. So yeah, it's smaller. What else? My color map. Okay. There is also something that we could do. It was a tiling for example, this normal mapping. So here, tiling will be very simple. Okay, so I will create a vector 2 because there are two value tiling. Okay, this tiling I will move it here, connect it to tiling. And here, tiling by default, I will put 1 and 1. Okay, I save. Perhaps I could put it in a good order. So normal, metallic, normal strength. So I will put normal map, normal strength, tiling. So this one, I didn't write normal tiling, but it's okay. So now it's here, and let's put the normal strength a bit strong to C. Okay, and here I will change the tiling to 2, 2. Okay, and you see it repeats the texture. Okay, so you understand, you could do just your shader here, you don't need to do that. But now that we have that, the interesting thing is, so this thing is pretty ugly, okay, because my normal is really strong. So what I could do, I like this shader, I want to reuse it. So what I can do, I select it, I right click, create material, and it create a new no, this one is matte all B. Okay, this one actually was matte all B. Okay, this one is pretty ugly because by default here this normal value should be 0. Okay, then without texture it will not be ugly. So here, like here, 0. So now I have this matte all, I can assign it, okay, and I will change the texture. Okay, so here, this one we have other texture. So for the color, I will use this one. Okay, smoothness, same strong. Metallic I don't need, perhaps a little bit. Okay, so you can change now this material. It will not change the other material. Both are totally independent, even if they use the same shader. Okay, so I hope it's clear. We will perhaps have other video for a bit more complicated shader. For example, how to mix two texture, how to mix two shader together. Okay, but I hope you understand well the principle. So here you have the main preview. You have all the classic parameters that we can have in a shader, and you just connect them to texture or utilities. Okay. And the third thing that we saw, it's this thing if you want to edit this parameter in your inspector and see directly the result in your scene. That's all. Thank you.